Hey, Biggs.
Gentlemen,
We're already live, so.
you are just jumping in.
Well, I'm just trying to. It just doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt. Gets me ahead of the game.
You do what you need to do. There's only so much to talk about tonight. It might be a shorter.
Hey, that's fine.
Shorter show.
I got the wild game on here. I'll have to turn that volume. Well, I've got it on my phone here.
It's interesting to see Parisi get benched. Healthy scratch.
I kind of like it, actually.
That might be a good overtime topic.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, I was just muting my my phone. Okay, let's get.
They're already down 1-0, right?
Yes, they are.
Pulling up our various social endeavors here.
Yeah. Okay, so I just tweeted it out. Let's get it over on Facebook as well. Uses me as a preview. Great. Posting. Okay, that part's done. Make sure we're good on the GPL page. The weird fonts or anything. Yeah, that looks like good too.
Got some chatting happening.
I started the chat, but there's only a couple people in there now because I just tweeted it.
They're probably watching the Wild game.
Yeah, that's fine. So am I. Oh, yeah, the phone. I hear the boy, Alex Tuck. Boy, he's just a terrible player. Didn't need him.
Didn't need him.
Well, he's the one who scored their goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you didn't know. I mean, if obviously they knew, they wouldn't have made the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen like Charlie Coyle, Jordan Greenway, in Minnesota, people like Hudson Fasching, these big wings. Like sometimes they just don't work out.
No, they don't. Oh, there's Hapke in there.
Nice.
All right. Oh boy. Oh, we got to hit record. I always forget to do that.
I have to see who won beer of the week. I'm thirsty already. I had a mini
paddle
might practice.
Looks like
a little extra baked.
Hapke can't find Parisi tonight. You know what? I can't either. Weird. Are they gonna make that kind of retro jersey a dark green one too, like a road one or traditional what we'd call road? Or are they just gonna? So. That's unfortunate. I'd love to see it all green.
Yeah, I think it's just a one-time retro Adidas project. As we learned, jerseys hard to do right. No?
Oh boy.
Too soon?
I think we should talk about Patino tonight.
We can check in a little bit on Patino. I've been inciting with my Gopher Illustrated colleagues across the Twitter sphere. And, university athletics as a whole, we can talk about. Like just the budget, the dollars. Rube is saying don't drink tonight. Thought you were a little loose last week.
You think? I remember eating dinner like at 5 that night because I'm like, I was hungry. It was after work. I'm like, I'll just make dinner. Yeah, just not a full bottle of wine. Hey, it's fine. Who cares? Details. I really like that wine. I think that's why it goes down way too quickly.
Oh, it is like candy. It's pretty sweet, right?
It was a sweeter kind, but it doesn't have any of that kind of bitterness either. I think that's why I like it. I'm usually not a red wine person because it's just not my thing. But that one, boy, it's good. A friend got me on it, so I drink it. So, all right, I've tweeted. We're live on GPL that page. I think we're good to go here.
You got a nice little picture there too.
Yeah, it does that. All right. Let's start the show. This is the GPL Podcast, sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at firstclassmortgage.com. Now, here's Jupe and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL Podcast, episode number 190. We're getting up there, Vigs. We're getting close to 200. We might just have to have a 200 show celebration probably sometime next fall.
Next fall is probably the time to do that.
Yeah,
there's a lot at stake right now to break down.
Well, it's too bad we didn't have some games at Penn State this past weekend. You know, we're going to kind of get that week off. I don't know if that's good. You know, Bob seemed to think that, get guys a little healthier, things like that, and things will be better. Wisconsin's taken the lead in the conference by points, but they're going to determine it by a win percentage. It's going to come down to the last game, and that's how it's going to be. And I wouldn't have it any other way, Viggs.
Well, we hope it comes down to the last game, right? I mean, that's what we're hoping for.
If Wisconsin loses Friday night, that's probably
I don't expect the Badgers to lose the way they've been playing and the offense that they've got going right now. I'm pretty confident they're going to come away with 6 points this upcoming weekend. So it's really going to be on Minnesota to play well on Friday night and give themselves an opportunity Saturday to do something special. And that's raise a banner, because that's what is special about college hockey. Is this is banner season right now. This is a chance for the players to raise one so that when they go back to 3M at Mariucci Arena, they can point up at the rafters and say, yep, I was on that team. And you talk to players who've done that, they will do that for the rest of their lives when they go see Gopher hockey games, is look at the team pictures in the concourse and check out the banners hanging from the rafters.
That is true. Before we get into this, Viggs, we don't have a game to recap this week, or games to recap. I'm just checking out the Twitter questions from earlier today, and Steve 2120, nothing but sweep this weekend. But does one win get them the title? No, one win does not get them. One win could get them the title, I guess, if they win Friday night. And like you mentioned, if the Badgers were to happen to lose, then, the Gophers would likely win with that one win. Wouldn't that? Has anyone done that?
They're basically like a game and a half ahead. So if they get 9 points and Wisconsin gets 12, Minnesota can clinch. If Minnesota gets 9 points and Wisconsin gets 6, they'll clinch that way too. So just look at it. They've got a half game cushion here on Wisconsin heading into the weekend. So based on who the Badgers are playing, I think, winning a tie would get it done. Keep in mind that if they get to overtime, a shootout is required to get the tie. If you get to the 3-on-3 overtime and you lose in the 3-on-3 overtime, that's a win. So just getting to OT would not be enough.
It's going to be a fun weekend. I'm excited.
It's going to be a fun weekend. I mean, this is the team you want to see in a game like this too. Michigan's got talent, and that's going to be fun to see. I think we were all cheated for that game during the World Juniors, where all the talent was missing for Michigan. Minnesota was missing a lot of players as well, but I think we were hoping that would be a show me weekend, but then the quarantine situation came in and everybody had to leave early. So this will be a totally different series than the one we saw last time, because Michigan will have all their thoroughbreds running.
All right. Well, Steve 2120 has another question. He's like, a little early, but what are your thoughts on the NCAA tourney? Looks like the Gophers should be a 1 or 2 seed. Fargo or Loveland? Well, I guess technically if they are a number 2 seed, they could go to Fargo. But if they're in a 1 seed, they're not going to Fargo, because North Dakota's going to Fargo, and they're going to be a number 1 seed.
Yeah, North Dakota's done enough. They could probably lose pretty quick in the NCHC and still be a number one seed. With some of the other teams involved who are competing for one seeds, it's a little more up in the air about how that could happen. And we've seen some interesting things happen in the last week with teams losing, and with the Boston schools out east. And we've seen some of the WCHA teams struggle a little bit here down the stretch. So it's very unclear what's going to happen. The one thing that I think is pretty evident is Minnesota and Wisconsin have done enough where they're going to be in. It's just who wins the league and who finishes stronger will probably get a number one seed. I don't see two Big Ten teams getting number one seeds, but but the team that finishes better between Minnesota and Wisconsin should get one.
Our boy Nate put together a bracket today, and boy, Mankato just must love him right now because he puts them out there at Providence again. And
hey, chance to redeem the demons. Minnesota fans want to see the Gophers go to Happy Valley and redeem themselves. Yeah. I'm sure Mike Hastings is thinking the same thing. He's like, let's get to that Dunkin' Donuts arena or whatever and not commit a bunch of penalties when we have a lead. Let's finish this thing. I'm sure he'd love that.
Boy, if it's a really good possibility. If Minnesota wins out, wins the Big Ten title, if Mankato wins the WCHA title and North Dakota, you've got 3 number one seeds all together here. Somebody will have to go east. It's just the way it goes. And since Loveland is going to be a flight anyway, a flight is a flight, probably according to the NCAA, Mankato or Minnesota out east. It's just going to be that simple. One will go to Loveland, one will go out east. And that's just how it'll happen. Unless one of those teams falters and doesn't, qualify as a number one seed, somebody's going east, Vigs.
It's going to happen. It's hard to know what they're thinking. We asked Bob today at media what he's heard from Jeff Jackson, who's advising the committee. And he's just hoping that while they've said that they've thought of travel as something to influence their bracket setup this year, Bob's like, please don't do that. Just stick to bracket integrity and do what's best and figure out your teams 1 through 16 and just deal with that. Just only focus on, a host team that wins a bid gets to go to their regional like North Dakota and just go from there. But don't be trying to mess around putting a bunch of Western teams in Fargo and Loveland just because they're out West, because the NCAA determines anything over 400 miles when they do these kinds of things, that's a flight. So even for teams like Wisconsin and Michigan, they're a flight to everywhere too. It's not like they're a flight to Fargo and not a flight to Loveland, or what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get myself trapped in a sentence there. Got the left-wing lock on my bracketology.
Hey, and you haven't even started drinking yet.
Not yet. Save that for OT. Looks like we got some barrel-aged extra bake on tap. Thanks, voters.
Oh boy. Darren Bakken asks on Twitter earlier today, who are the top incoming recruits next season? We haven't talked much about recruiting. And actually, we haven't talked much since Hammy left us. What's it look like, Biggs?
Well, Cruz Lucius looks like he has developed into a top-end talent. He is going to be a first-round pick despite a lower body injury that held him out for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But he came right back, and I think he's got 5 goals in 5 games, goal in every game that he's been back with for the development team. And his skill isn't really skating. It's deception. It's moving away from traffic to find an opening, changing angles on the goalies, being really deceptive, beating people to loose pucks around the net. And it looks like he hasn't lost a step in that part of his game. So he's really the top end kid coming in. He committed when he was a pretty little kid, as you can look back at Twitter photos of him and his brother when they committed. Yeah. But he's developed.
Can you pronounce his last name again? What is it? Lucius?
I'm pretty sure it's Lucius.
Lucius. Okay. I wasn't sure. I mean, we might have to wait till we actually hear him say it, but
yeah, the tricky one is Matt Nyes. He's a player who's in the USHL from Arizona. He's playing for Tri-City. He was kind of looked at as a potential number one pick. He's struggled a little bit this season, I think, with some of the expectations put on him. He's trying to develop a real complete game there, and he's been pressed to do that. He's part of that Shane Doan youth hockey movement in Arizona, and he's gotten some coaching there, but he just hasn't scored like he did last year, and it could just be part of the pandemic and things like that. I know he picked up an illness, non-COVID, in the middle of this year that set him back a little bit, but he's a player who should be expected to compete at Minnesota. I know the coaching staff was very high when they landed him because North Dakota was hard after him, and he's a big kid. He's 6'2", 200 pounds.
I like
he'll be a player right away for them. Tristan Braz, we don't really know what to think with him. He's moved up the draft rankings a little bit as a player from Blake in the USHL. And then there's guys like Rhett Petlick, who's an older kid who's already drafted by Montreal, who could come in. Joe Miller, older kid who's already drafted by Toronto, could come in. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. They've got some good players. Huglin, the Roseau kid who had the back injury, is back playing for Fargo and looks really good there. So they've got lots of scoring options at forward. Defense, there's not a lot there. So I do think if they have some departure issues, maybe they'll look at the transfer market, because there's just not a lot of skating defensemen who could fill a hole. I think Chelsea and Middlestad are probably too young for that. And Nick Williams from Edina, he's the other one committed, probably not ready to step right into college. And you just don't want to get there as a college coach.
Yeah, you definitely don't. Could anybody stay? Could a senior stay, which could throw, a wrench into the whole thing?
There always could be. I'm not expecting any of them to stay. Brandon McManus got asked about senior night a little bit today, and he says it's going to be emotional when it comes, and he doesn't want to talk about it. Scott Reedy, he'll probably be a free agent after this year because of his development path taking a little bit longer. So he might be able to be signed by anyone that he wants to play with eventually. And then you've got guys like LaFontaine. He's a big goalie. If he got a shot to play pro hockey somewhere, God, I think he's going to take it. He's had such a good season. He's mentally ready as well. And then Cullen Munson, he's a grinder kind of guy. I wouldn't expect him to be back, but you never know.
I mean, that's the weird thing. It could happen. I'm hoping not a lot of players do it. League wide. I mean, we had a lot of kids, leave their Eastern schools this year, and just because those Eastern schools didn't play or what have you. But I'm hoping not a lot of kids do, because that's it could really mess the whole train up, couldn't it? It really could.
It could. Minnesota's got a little bit of a backlog at forward anyway. And then they've got guys, I know someone in the chat mentioned Charlie Strobel. He's going to be an older kid. I think when he signed, he knew it wasn't going to be play 1 year of juniors and come to Minnesota. He knew he was getting into a longer development path to join the club. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And then the financials of it is always tricky too, because the budget at the U is going to be stressed with everything around the pandemic and not being able to sell tickets and things like that. So it's going to be hard maybe to come up with $50,000 extra for something like this.
Our boy Drew Crove in the chat on YouTube. Thoughts on the pro future of one Brandon McManus?
Brandon's a great kid.
He's a little small though.
He's a little small, and his pace isn't quite what you'd expect for an NHL player. Maybe he has kind of that Tommy Novak like future where he gets a spot in the AHL and can be a guy who maybe can fill in from time to time. But it's hard to see Brandon getting into an NHL lineup and being able to be productive in the bottom six. Like, I just don't know if I see that in his game, where in 10 minutes a night, is he going to be effective, chippy in that way. So we'll see. It'd be great to see him back in college for another year, because he's definitely a fun player to watch in college. And when he's on, like he's been the last couple of weeks, he can be a very productive player for Minnesota.
He can be. We don't have too much to talk about this week, so we're going to head to our commercial here in a second. But if you guys in chat have any questions for us, I've seen some come through. Feel free to send it towards us, and we'll try to get to it. But first, we do need to hear from that sponsor.
Hey, fellow GPLers, this is Jerry Peters from First Class Mortgage. Interest rates are near all-time lows and property values are on the rise. Lower your interest rate and remove monthly PMI at the same time to save thousands of dollars. Or use the equity in your home for debt consolidation and home improvement. The housing market is still hot, so make sure you're prepared by getting a pre-approval letter from me before you start shopping. Mention you heard about me on the GPL podcast and receive a $300 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. Call me today at 612-940-3291 or visit firstclassmortgage.com to fill out a free online application. My NMLS number is 480200. First Class Mortgages is 322842. This is not an offer to lock into an interest rate agreement under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
And of course, we always thank Jerry for sponsoring the GPL podcast. I see another question, and I know Tim's in the chat here. He asked this earlier today. Do you think Rossini will be able to get into the game Saturday for Senior Day? Or will it depend on the position the Gophers are in? And I think that's kind of exactly it. Maybe the Gophers get lucky and, Wisconsin loses Friday night and they've got a little more options of what they want to do. You think he tries to get all the seniors in Saturday night, Biggs?
I think he's going to want to, especially with being able to address a 7th D like they've done from time to time. I think the issue is, what is their power play going to look like this weekend? Because after Robbie Stucker made the turnover that led to a shorthanded goal, he got taken off and scratched the next night. Ooh. And Motzko then went to 1D on each unit with 4 forwards. And they actually looked pretty good in the games, generating chances with that look. So is that something that Bob wants to do going forward? He said they've worked on power play a lot the last 2 weeks, trying to get that thing going because he knows it's something they're going to need down the stretch here. Special teams, goaltending are huge, and he needs goals out of his power play. The penalty kill has been pretty good, but the power play has been pretty inconsistent, and they get frustrated, they show it, and they start trying to do too much. So he's trying to figure out what's the way to make that unit the most simple. And I know Stucker is a guy who can put pucks on net, and he's usually a simple guy up there. I was surprised to see the quick leash on him with that kind of move because he's one of those defensemen who can get pucks to the net, and that all the players know that. So we'll see what happens there. But I would think they want to get Rossini in the lineup.
It couldn't hurt. Senior Day, I really do think if Wisconsin wins, Minnesota wins Friday night, I think he's really gonna try to lock it down and say, hey, we're not messing with this. We're going with our best lineup. Can they make last second changes there, Viggs? The Minnesota game.
That's true.
We got a double header Saturday. Big Ten Network came through. We're having a double header. MSU, Michigan State and Wisconsin on before our game. Maybe he could make a last second change. Like, hey, we already know we're going to win this or something along those lines. I guess. Do we know what the kind of the rules are for changing lineups?
I mean, usually you just have to have it. Once you submit it, you can't change it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes coaches will do is they'll dress 2 guys for one spot, go out for warmups, and then make up their mind afterwards. And then once you submit it, it's set. Hapke's right in the chat, though, by the way. Stucker did cost him a goal with a lazy offside by an inch. I'm not too hard on that.
I was surprised how good that camera was. That was like a really good camera.
That was down the line. That was good.
It was. It was he was offside. Yes, he was. And he got a little anxious. Shouldn't have done it, but there you go. Steve Larson.
They will know. So
yeah, Steve Larson will be a goalie battle next year.
Looks like it. I mean, I don't think they're going to bring in their recruit that they got from Pittsburgh. That's kind of a young prospect who's not playing a lot right now. He's playing in the NHL and He's a Bobby Geppert recommendation for Moscow. So we'll see what's going on there. Will they see a transfer, which is something that we could see? I know Bob's very high on the closer as an option for goaltending, but it's a little different to pump his tires versus start him for 20 games. And we've seen Bob be pretty hard on Mo. Lot to be decided there. This staff does not like to talk about those things during the year, though. Mm-hmm. Even in the offseason, they don't like to talk about them.
They do not.
It's going to be a question mark for them next year.
Dale Beers asking in the chat, what do you think of the Bros? What do you think of Bros on his new line? Brodzinski. I think Moscow's just trying to find a place for him where he actually can succeed.
Yeah, his pace of his game needs to increase a little bit. Playing with Blake and Sammy helps him a little bit because those two draw so much attention. He just needs to keep the chain going, as Bob is fond of saying. It's like when there's a cycle and there's possession, you can't be the guy that's always breaking possession. You have to keep it going and play your part. And I think that's one thing that he needs to really focus on is Don Lucia always said, if you don't have your A game, get your B game ready. Don't bring the team down by flunking it. Find a B game, be safe, be steady, be consistent, contribute what you can. If you start to feel it, elevate your game, but don't be out there and just be a minus player. And I think that's something he needs to realize. You can play a part on a line. You don't have to be the star.
You mentioned Don Lucia there, coach of the 2000s in the WCHA today.
I mean, you win a couple titles and NCAAs and the conference, and
those were Woods players. What are you talking about?
Right. Still can't break the recipe. Still got to cook the meal.
That is true. Oh, and then a couple Gophers on that all team as well. With Johnny Paul and
Jordan Leopold.
Leopold. I just froze up there.
So little defensive player.
Yeah. I think 2000s was obviously the best the WCH ever had. I mean, you think of the players left off those lists. I can even think of someone as a Ryan Patolny, 38 goals in that 2005-2006 season. No one had scored that many goals in 10 years in a season. And nobody has scored that many goals in a season since. And I'm guessing he didn't even get a sniff because there are a lot of good players that played in the WCHA in that decade, Viggs.
Those are the glory years. That's when they're at the X for the Final Five, and so much pro talent was starting to come through the WCHA. I think that was part of the thing with that era, is so many of those guys left early to sign pro deals. That was after the new CBA was signed, where teams were able to get these guys on pretty cheap deals.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to commit to them. They could sign them, show them the fanciness of the NHL, and then stick them in the AHL. And a lot of these guys had to pay their dues there before they could get to the NHL. And, would have been nice to see them in college hockey for longer, and maybe they could have had better numbers and made this glorious team. But it's a fun thing the WCHA is doing, going back through the history books and looking at these players, because it's bringing back a lot of good memories when they announce the rosters.
I mean, you have Hobie Baker winners not even making the final team. That says it all right there.
Yeah, that was quite the era for college hockey.
Yes, it was. Well, let's get into this weekend, Viggs. The Michigan Wolverines coming to town. We didn't find out until just this week what the TV situation was going to be. I mean, I was speaking with Mr. Deutsch over at the U, and he was incredibly busy earlier this week, on Monday and Tuesday, trying to get everything settled for TV this weekend. The U busted their butt to get it done, and they got it done. I mean, Friday night, it's going to be our boy Charlie Beatty and Lou Nanny calling the game on FSN Plus, and then Saturday night Saturday afternoon we've got a nice doubleheader on BTN. So they got it done. 25 out of 26 games on local television this year, Vigs. That other game actually was on a couple other markets. Phenomenal job by the U. We got to see it. We really got to see every game. And I don't want people adding me about, FSN and not getting FSN. That's not my problem. That's your problem. Get a real.
Just get BTN Plus, people.
Pay the $10. Been saying it all year. You've been saying it all year. BTN Plus. You can see all the games. It's
got a little bit of a delay, but it's okay.
It's a lot cheaper than season tickets. So just get it done.
It's a lot cheaper than getting the DirecTV package. Like if you have YouTube TV and BTN Plus, you're still saving $50.
Yeah, there you go. But we didn't know what the game times were going to be, but we got 7:00 and 4:00. Let's roll, Vigs.
It's going to be great. We got Cappy and Vosters on the Saturday game.
Yep.
So our regional breakdown guest, Cappy, will get some action this week as he preps to do the BTN studio piece to Rick Pizzo. So that'll be fun to have Cappy on there. He's a big college hockey fan, and he'll stay up late to do the analysis and make sure he's on point for the weekend.
And we'll have him on the podcast next week, along with Todd Molesky from Badgerville. It should be a fun show next week with those two as we preview the Big Ten tournament. But we don't know what's going to happen yet. We kind of know where some of the seeds are going to go. It looks like Notre Dame, Michigan, and Penn State are kind of stuck in a spot. They're not really going to change. Minnesota, Wisconsin, 1-2. Ohio State, MSU are going to end up last place somehow. That's really close. So it's kind of a wait and see. But I would say our task this weekend against Michigan is quite a bit more difficult than Wisconsin's at Michigan State.
Yeah, you could say Michigan's a little better than Michigan State. I mean, they're in the same state, but they're totally different teams. You look at Michigan's roster with all their talent. Scott Wheeler just released his draft midseason rankings. He's got 3 Michigan players in his top 5, and they all deserve to be there. Owen Power, big 6'5" defenseman who can skate and move. I think some of the offense in his game is still coming. It's very difficult, I think, for young players to make the transition to D1 college hockey. It's such a big game where there's a lot of structure. You have to play smart first. It's been probably nice for him to defer to Cam York for a lot of those power play and penalty kill and tough matchups, and he can kind of learn from there. But he's still a very good player. He can erase situations in his own end and then join the rush very easily. And then you've got 2 other top players with Kent Janssen and Manny Beniers. Beniers for the World Junior team, he was just a water bug. He was competing all over the ice. He's going to be a tough player to play against this weekend. I think that's something that they really missed when they played Minnesota last time, because he plays down the middle of the rink and he plays all 200 feet. And he's kind of like a combination of like a Justin Kloos and a Jonathan Taves. He's just he's there all the time, skating, competing, battling. And it'll be a challenge for Minnesota centers to keep up with him.
I think one of the biggest things this weekend, Vigs, and with Michigan all around, is that you can't really predict how they're going to do. They really are a roller coaster team, and they're that way because they're young. But when they're on their game, they can play with anybody in the country easily, but they just don't have that consistency.
Yeah, and that's what you get with young players, is you get that roller coaster season. I think that's part of what's been fun this year with Minnesota, is they have enough veterans where a lot of games, even if it's not going quite the right way, it never dips too far. They're always able to come back up and get their head above water. It's just when they played Wisconsin, I think the game got away from them, and you can't do that against top end talents. And you can't let that happen this weekend against Michigan. You can't just get lulled to sleep and start going all in every hand on every rush and really pushing the game. You got to be patient, even though it's going to be an up and down weekend.
Would they rather be playing this game at Ritter this weekend, Vigs? With the rink size?
That's a good question. It seems like Minnesota has been playing better on the smaller sheets the last 2 years, because I think the game is faster and more intense, and it's forced a little bit more.
They haven't lost a game on the small sheet this year, have they? I don't think they have.
Right. But at the same point, Minnesota's defensemen are such great skaters. Playing on the big sheet is not a detriment to their game because they're able to get back into the deep corners and retrieve pucks and start the breakout. They've got centers who get back for the breakout. So I think it's not a detriment to them from that standpoint, which it could be maybe for some of Michigan's lower defensemen. But yeah, Ritter certainly would be nice for this team.
So Minnesota's coming in pretty healthy. We've got, we've had some bumps and bruises here, but then they've been really healthy. Whereas Michigan just did lose one of their players for the entire rest of the season. How does that affect them?
Beecher's a big player for them. He's one of their more physical, bigger players. And he's got a shoulder injury that, he couldn't play his style of game with and didn't want to play through it, wanted to have surgery. So he's ready next fall. Maybe he's got some pro, ambitions there that influence that decision. I think it impacts them from being able to play that heavy game. And so it's going to be more of an up and down type game for these two teams. And I think it gives Minnesota a little bit of an advantage too, because Minnesota can still play heavy if they want to. Ranta and Reedy, Myers, Nelson, those guys can be big and physical, and it's just one less big bull to go against.
So can Brodzinski.
If he wanted to get in that game, he's got a big body. He's just got to figure out how to use it a little bit.
Yes, I think that's kind of one of his issues.
Well, and he wasn't 100% healthy going into the season, and just he's been playing catch up, it feels like, all year. And, he's a guy who can shoot the puck. And so he wants to find ways to shoot the puck. But sometimes you got to go, you know what? Those shots aren't there. I got to find other ways to contribute.
Yeah, you do. What's your prediction for the weekend then, Vigs? Are they bringing home a title?
I feel like they're going to do it. I feel like they're going to get 2 wins.
There we go.
This team has been so consistent all year other than 2 weekends. This has been a team that's been more consistent than hardly any we've watched in 20 years in terms of their consistency. And it's not just
10. Was it 10 or 9 or 10 sweeps or something like that?
9 sweeps.
Yeah.
It's not just like they get away from a weekend and have a bad game and come back and play good the next night. They usually put together 3 pretty good periods every night. They might have a little lull here or there where they start to get away, but usually this team is playing better than their opponents all 3 periods. And that's something we haven't seen for a long time. And I think it's because of the center depth, the goaltending, and the defensive play.
Well, of course, we know what I'm going to pick. Of course, I'm picking a sweep. Steve Larson action. Juper, you going to pick a sweep? Of course I am. Come on. I still want to see Wisconsin trip up and have Minnesota win the league on points. They're only down by 1 point, aren't they?
It could happen. I think it's unlikely. Wisconsin looks pretty
definitely
good right
unlikely. Now. Definitely unlikely, but let's just go with it. Win on points. Yeah.
Bit aggressive.
I know. That's just how it is. And I'm not even drinking like I did last week in overtime. For those of you who missed overtime last week, I had not had dinner and may have drank an entire bottle of wine fairly quickly. It happens.
Hey, when you had John King on your podcast,
and then you two, you started with the beer and then you went to the whiskey.
Well, John King started breaking out some brown liquor, so I had to respond. Can't let that go unchecked. If someone challenges you, it's like the enforcers stepping on the ice and going, "Hey, what are we doing here? Are we doing this?" And, okay. John King comes on. He starts pouring some screwball. I'm going to come at him with a little smoke wagon or something.
What can you do? You got anything else, Vigs? Or can we wrap this up and move to overtime?
I think we're going to move to overtime. Just when you watch the game this weekend, again, focus on Minnesota in transition. Are they turning pucks over? or are they getting pucks below the D? Are they going to play the long game this weekend? Because Bob has been very, very clear about this all season. This is not a high-end, high-octane offensive team. This is a team that has to play together in the structure that they have. They have to get pucks deep. They have to get on their forecheck. They have to get on their ground game. They have to rely on goaltending and special teams to pull out wins. And against a team like Michigan, just like when they were playing Wisconsin, there's a tendency to want to force action. And I talked about this with John King. It's like you don't have to go all in every hand. Like it's okay to fold. It's okay to call. It's okay to extend things out and let the better team win.
But it's not okay to let Cole Caulfield get behind your defense on the first shift of the game.
Got to be aware of who you're playing against.
Bingo.
I mean, we asked this to Scott Reedy after the Wisconsin game. He's like, yeah, you need to see who's on the ice for the other team and, play on the right side of the puck against those guys. That's going to be a test, a discipline test. It's not an effort thing. It's not they aren't being coached well. It's like, are they cognizant and taking it seriously? And hopefully there's enough senior leaders on this team where you don't see that pop up and cost them. But that's why they play the games on the ice. And that's why college hockey is so fun, because you never know.
Let's hope we bring home the title this weekend, Viggs. That's all we can hope for. Number 1 seed. Let's get
number 1 seed's going to be big for this team, I think.
It is.
They may be healthy now, but that could just be gamesmanship. They've had some injuries that they've been dealing with all year that they're not talking about, but they're there.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this GPL podcast. We'll be back next week to recap this big series of Michigan, and then we're also going to bring in Cappy and Todd for a big Big Ten preview. A big Big Ten preview. There we go. For those of you watching live on YouTube, stay tuned for overtime. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week. All right. It's always tough timing that ending because I always have to start the music early, and the music's like all timed with how it comes in louder to point. Shouldn't be flubbing it like that.
Only a couple weeks left to get this right.
They still down 1-0. It looks like it. God, those gold helmets were awful last week or the other day by Vegas.
I'm going to
go get your beverage. Go get your beverage.
We are not going to break our record OT. No. Connor and I just don't have that kind of stamina with each other.
Oh boy. And I don't have a bottle. Well, I actually do have quite a few bottles of wine, but I'm not going to open them up tonight. Just don't want to. Don't want to do it. Yeah. The funny thing is, Mr. King, John, was so proud that his overtime was the longest ever. I don't think the actual broadcast was the longest ever. I think that was another show, but the actual overtime that John had last week was the longest. There it is. Say something, Viggs.
So we got the bent paddle, barrel aged, extra baked. So this is a 8.3 flavored stout. So a pastry stout loaded with decadent flavor. It's baked with stout malts, oats, chocolate rye, and assorted crystal malts. Extra baked by aging it in bourbon barrels for 3 months with pastry staples of chocolate, coconut, and vanilla.
And it's 2-0 Vegas.
Should be tasted.
I saw Tim say it's 2-0 Vegas, and I'm streaming it on my phone. It's a little behind, but power
it's
play.
Like BTN Plus.
Oh, it's too far away. Yeah, that's quite the can, though. I like the can.
Yeah, it's got a good matte finish to it, which I like.
Yeah,
I'm a big matte finish guy. It's got the good stuff on there. coconut, vanilla.
Looks like a barrel.
Kind of got that barrel. Yeah.
Kind of has that.
I like that barrel.
It kind of has that root beer look to it.
I feel like if I had to live in another city, Duluth might be high on the list.
You think?
I like that town. Smells good.
I don't think I've been there since we were up there.
That is good. That's good. Yeah, I do want to get to Parisi. Because
Judd Zolgad was just, he did his video and he just ripped them, and right after that he's like, God, he was so lazy. He was out there for a minute 33, and
I've slid into Judd's DMs before and have a little conversation about the Wild with him. And Parisi can be a very good player, but he is, man, not the kind of teammate I think I would like to have. I get the sense that he is just one of those guys that is like, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to train hard. I'm going to do the right things. But at the same point, he's kind of selfish in how he wants to be as a person. Like, I don't know how much sacrifice there is other than playing through injury and going to the front of the net, trying to score goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't get that from him. Like, when the team signed some players and they were on a road trip and the player met the team, he didn't reach out and say, hey, welcome to the team. If you want to have dinner, you want to, maybe hang out, watch a movie or something, just nothing. And that just like cascades through the rest of the lineup. Then everybody's like, oh, maybe that's how it's done. And then when like Charlie Coyle gets signed by or traded to Boston, like Zdeno Chara calls him up. He's like, hey, Charlie, glad you were with us. Sorry, it's like a game night and we got stuff going on, but we're happy to have you. Let's go have dinner as soon as we can. Let's get you into the locker room and integrate you. Totally different leadership structure. And I just don't buy it from Parisi that he's all in. He's not.
He's not a leader. And
it would be one thing if he took coaching and just like did it. Like if the coach said, I want you to do this, go do it. And he went out and did it. Then I have no qualms with him being this kind of person where he's kind of a loner, isolationist, negative personality. But instead, he's just kind of like a antagonist to a successful team. And it's just kind of selfish. And the thing that baffles me is he finds out he's getting scratched. He goes out on the ice early and he just goes and grabs a bucket of pucks and starts shooting. Like, just being on the ice first was a good response. I was like, if I was that kind of player, I would just be like, you know what? After practice, I'm going to skate. I'm going to get my game in tonight. I'm going to skate after practice in front of everybody. I'm going to do, blue line, goal line, red line, goal line, blue line, goal line, goal line, goal line. Yeah, I'm going to put in a couple Herbies to show that I'm invested and I'm pissed. But when you shoot a bucket of pucks like that, and then you go in the media and say, I know my heart was in the right place by being out there for that long shift because I wanted to get him a hat trick.
Wrong thing to say.
No one cares. Just say, message received. I probably deserve to be scratched. I did something that cost us a win. It wasn't the right thing to do. Dean and I talked about it. I'm going to sit out tonight and see it from a different perspective, and I'll change my best. But he didn't do that. He had all that time to think about it, and that's what he comes up with. It almost makes it worse.
Yes, it does. And I was just thinking what some of the guys are saying. Has he ever won anything? Didn't win a title at UND. Did he make it to a cup? Did he make a cup at
He lost a cup with the Devils. He got to the finals and they lost.
Oh darn. So basically he's never won.
He got a silver medal with Team USA.
That's still second place.
I know.
Just like the cup.
Did he get World Junior gold?
Yeah, you'd have to ask the professionals down there.
Wasn't he? Help me out.
Maybe one of those guys can come up with an answer quicker than we could. Because I'm editing the podcast right now. The audio,
multitasking.
the audio part that is. Well, I'm just
And remember, McNaughton doesn't mean anything. It's a nice trophy. It's fun to win, but it's not the banner that you want to win.
true.
But yeah, silver medal.
I don't think he won a junior.
Yep. 03 or 04. They won the gold that year.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yay. Gold medal, World Juniors.
It's good to have your best achievement there.
Right? I used to love it back in the day where quite a few of the Gopher fans saying Chad Roberg has more titles than Mr. Parisi, and he played like 3 games. There you go.
Yeah, that 04 World Junior was pretty good. I remember that was one of the ones I was able to watch, I think. They beat Canada.
Well, it's always good to beat Canada.
Oh, yeah, always good.
But how about we get a World Junior tournament here in the Twin Cities?
Got to get a sponsor who believes in it. It's tough. You know, the Wild would have to give up their building for a couple weeks. We'll see if they'd want to do that. I don't know. Yeah, Patrick O'Sullivan, game-winning goal as the U.S. scores 3 goals in the third period to come from behind.
Wasn't that an overtime goal too, wasn't it?
I'm seeing.
I thought it was overtime.
60 minutes. It was late. It was late in the third. But yeah, it was against Marc-Andre Fleury, was the goalie for Canada. I mean, that Canada team was stacked. They had Phaneuf, Carter, Getzlaff, Crosby, Josh Harding. Joking. But yeah, that whole Parisi thing just rubs me the wrong way. I was kind of like, when he signed with the Wild, I was like, okay.
I was never that guy.
He can be a supporting player. He's hard-nosed guy, but he's not like an elite player.
He's not worth the money we're paying him.
It's not that other teams didn't want to offer him the same amount of money or more, because that was the end of the crazy free agent money in the backloaded deals.
But, what was it, a 14-year deal or something like that? 12-year deal, something ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, can you believe he's been here for like 10 years already as a pro hockey player?
And I can't tell you how much I love that Suter is playing less ice time.
Yep.
I always think that was really bad for him because, you're leading the league in ice time every year. You get to the playoffs and it was clear Suter had no gas left, because that's when you really need to play. That's when the ice time's important. And he's
always kind of a low motor kind of player, like more with less. Like he gets by more on positioning and being hard on pucks.
Yeah, but you lose that when you're tired at the end of a long season. And the Stanley Cup playoffs is the biggest grind there is. And when you've been, playing, 28 to 32 minutes a game all season long, you're out of gas. So
he's a good complimentary player.
Patrick O'Sullivan at 24-48 of the third. How could it be 24-48? So that's overtime then.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was overtime.
Could be.
You can't have 24-28 of the third.
Because I've got 54-48 of the game in the thing I'm looking at.
Or maybe he meant to, he hit the wrong key, I think. It's at 54.
So
I'm guessing that's a Steve did. He hit the 2 instead of the 4.
It's complicated.
I'm a typo. I'm terrible at typing. Yeah, it was 3-1 going into the third. I remember watching that game. That was a great game. Oh, he says 14-48. Wow, that's even worse typing. Kidding. Oh, just kidding with you.
Wild cut 2-1.
Did they really?
I hope they win tonight. just to drive home the message to Prezi that
it just hasn't happened on my. It hasn't happened on my TV yet. Delayed since I'm streaming it on my phone on the Fox Sports Go app.
I have to go to
and they just scored.
I have to go to Sports Surge or Bila Sport or VeloCast or something to get mine because I'm
one of those cheaters.
Yep. Sorry. I'd pay for it if I could.
And now it sounds like Sinclair is laying people off. And that they have no plans of doing a separate streaming service until maybe 2022. Yeah. TV is going to have a reckoning, Biggs. I tell you, it's going to have a reckoning. It's, unless you're football, football is different, but these regional networks are not going to be able to afford these teams anymore. And these teams are going to have to go, oh, well, what are we going to do? Exactly. What are you going to do? If the Wild Wind is does Parisi waive his NMC anywhere? Oh.
Well, it sounds like he almost went to New York Islanders last year at the trade deadline. So he's willing to he's willing to move his deal and go on to somewhere else. Like he's not tied here. I'm sure he doesn't like being scratched and treated the way he's been treated, especially with that kind of personality. So,
yeah. When it comes to FSN, folks, Sinclair might be reducing staff, but that's kind of the main staff. It's your people like LaPanta, your producers, your directors. A lot of people that work behind the scenes are independent contractors. They're part of a union. They get hired out game by game basis. It's a completely different thing.
But maybe someone like a Ben Clymer could be a casualty of this, and maybe that's why he's not working the game.
They just hired Gigi Marvin.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing for them.
They're replacing people. Like they got rid of Chorsky, they brought in Parrish. I mean, I think Gigi will do just fine. I don't know. We'll see. Because, like somebody like Ben Clymer is, maybe Ben is a little different because he's on more than just college hockey. Somebody like a Charlie Beatty is an independent contractor.
Right. That's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah.
It's maybe that Gigi is replacing Ben Clymer in their lineup. And that's why Lou Nanny's filling in for the game.
But Ben is calling on BTN the following weekend.
Oh, he is?
He's calling. Wait. He's on BTN this weekend. Ben is calling the games with Fred Pletch at the Wisconsin game, Michigan State. And then we're getting
really?
Yeah.
Pletch
and
who's doing the play-by-play then?
Pletch.
He's going to do play-by-play.
He's done quite a bit of play-by-play. I thought it was him. I mean,
I think it's Dan Kelly who's doing that.
No, I don't think Kelly's. Wait, it could. Do I need to go check our DMs with?
You need to go check your. You need to check yourself.
He said Fred and Ben was Wisconsin right there.
All right,
go right into our DMs. Cappy says Fred and Ben for Wisconsin, and Chris and I for your game.
I don't trust Cappy with a 1 a.m. Florida text.
Pletch has called games.
Okay,
Pletch has called a couple Gopher games even. Pletch is, that's what's like, he's usually, and then when it comes to the Big Ten tournament, it's going to be Ben Holden and Cappy calling all of Sunday's games, all three of them. And then,
here's my thing
and then it's Kelly and Pletch for the rest.
Here's my thing with Ben. I think he could be a fine analyst, but I don't think he puts in the work. Like, I don't think.
Maybe he's saying Ben and Fred, not Ben Clymer. Maybe he's saying Ben Holden.
Ben Holden.
because he said Fred and Ben, kind of like, Fred, but because Fred has called games. I've seen him call quite a few games with Big Ten Network. Maybe Fred is the color guy and Ben Holden's calling that game.
This is almost like a Larry David situation for you. Like, what? Ben? I thought it was the other Ben. I thought the other Ben was coming.
So maybe you, Ben? Maybe Clymer's on the way out. Who knows? That would be sweet.
I don't know. Because I think he could be a good analyst. I just don't think he's all in on it. Like, he knows a lot about the game of hockey. He's very invested in that, but I don't get a lot of insights from him other than some of his connections, like with Dakota Joshua and Mason Nevers and, things like that.
He creamed himself when Dakota Joshua got his first goal yesterday.
I was excited for Dakota Joshua. I always thought he was going to be a pro player. He plays that kind of game.
I think for Gopher hockey, you need somebody with some passion for the team. Wooger ruined it for everyone else who's ever going to do that. He just did.
Well, just the great but color guys ruin it for people because you get used to it. You want that.
Is true. I mean, and I don't think Tom Reed was that bad either. Tom Reed was doing it forever, and then he obviously got the Wild job and went there instead. But and they knew it right away when they brought in Reed Larson, and Reed Larson was just a stiff. And then they just kind of had to teach Wooger a little more TV stuff, and then he was fine. But quite honestly, people have said it before, Casey Hankinson would be perfect for that job. He's got the passion. He's got the look. He's a smooth talker. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah, he didn't play in the NHL like Ben Clymer did, but the kid knows hockey. It's a hockey family.
Well, that's kind of why I like Johnny Pohl as a potential person, because he does the state hockey tournament stuff every once in a while, and he's really entertaining on that. I mean, you feel like you're in a living room with Johnny Pohl sometimes when he's starting to talk, because he's just very smooth, confident, inviting, easy to connect with. And I think he would be a great person to look at developing, because the more I think about it, is like he would be a good ambassador for the program. It's something they need.
I think having Louis on the broadcast this weekend, like John Stark in the chat says, on a scale of 9 to 10, how excited are you? 9 or 10?
I mean, I'm a 10. I mean,
get pucks to the net. Just all they got to do is just get pucks to the net.
There are some people who don't like the nanny family and all that goes with it, but Lou's kind of an icon, godfather of hockey. So it's fun to have him on to spin some tales. And he gives a lot back to the game and the state and everything. So
yeah, it'd be
enjoy it while you can.
Do it. In Paul in his position, he couldn't do it.
Well, he could do it. His kids need to get a little bit older, I think.
His kids need to get a bit older, but isn't he the athletic director?
He is. That's not exactly a high-paying job.
It's not a high-paying job, but the athletic director is expected to be at a ton of sports. You're hitting October, and Friday night's football. He's going to be at the football games. That's the biggest event. He has to be at like every football game for Hill Murray. And then you've got Saturday hockey. Hey, I think it would really, really tough.
I think there's a role change that could happen if you could have him be the play-by-play color guy. I'm just spitballing here, guys. This is overtime. We're just seeing what
Pat Micheletti.
I mean, Pat would be great. Pat, I think, has some hard feelings towards FSN, and it would be hard for him to deal with that kind of situation. He'd be a lot of fun. And it would be good for Pat to be invested and go for hockey because he loves it more than anything. Like, Pat loves the U. He just wishes things were going different.
That's true. He sent me a DM the other day, and he's like, "So is your team going to win it all?" I'm like, "Hey, it's your team.
It's your team. Them.
Your team a lot more than my team."
I look at my media guide and I see a lot of Micheletti names. I don't see any Vigo or Cotner in there. I mean, not even any credits or bylines or anything.
No, not at all. We're just doing a little podcast here. I got a little website Veek's been writing for a long time. That's all we do.
That's all we do.
And we just happen to play adult hockey together, and I played badly.
Yeah, I was St. Olaf Ole up there. Now I'm a mini mite coach. We play a lot of tag.
Oh man, that's a wide open net you missed there. Jeez. Bring on the Mick. I don't know.
I mean, I would like
Pat was trying to tell me that Channel 9 was going to be broadcasting this weekend. I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, Pat. Somebody was telling him something. Maybe they're trying to put us off the scent. And then, of course, first thing Monday, was it Monday morning? Is it Tuesday? Maybe it was Tuesday morning. Deutsch texting me, reveal your source. In all caps, reveal your source.
Because he's getting needled by someone.
I don't know. He's getting needled. I think at that point he didn't even care anymore. He just wanted people to know.
Yeah,
but still,
I had heard some back channels from someone at the U that they were going to be on TV. Don't worry about it. Maybe chirp Chorsky if you can. Why not? I love to chirp Chorsky, who's from Minneapolis but moved to Edina and now runs a NHL team. We were begging fans to come in St. Cloud. And he was the GM.
If I recall, he was a Southwest Indian, wasn't he?
Yeah, he sure was.
They were still the Indians then.
They were still the Indians, the purple and Blackhawks or whatever.
Good, yeah, good colors. I like that.
Yeah.
Is there even? I mean, is there just one or two Minneapolis? Is all combined schools?
Well, it's just Minneapolis now is the hockey program, in Minneapolis for the girls program. The Storm are their youth programs, and then the Titans, my Northeast kids, they are like the Edison type kids in North. So we have a good time up here. A little bit different than the Storm traveling to Chicago and Detroit and Toronto and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an old Southwest guy.
Yeah, I remember. Southwest never got very far because they were in the same section as Jefferson and Kennedy all those years, so they never got anywhere. So it's usually
they always had decent players though until
they had decent teams
started to happen to them.
But I don't think they've had really good teams since the early 70s.
Yeah.
Is Chorsky bitter? Is Chorsky bitter at the Gophers? I don't know. Do you think Chorsky is bitter at the Gophers?
Yes, he is.
Why is that?
He just is. He doesn't feel connected to the program,
but how much of that was on Lucia? How much damage did Lucia do with a lot of alumni?
I mean, I think it's people making a mountain out of a molehill with him. Lucia is not the most friendly guy to people he doesn't know. It takes him a long time to build a relationship. And so
he's not good socially. He's not a good social person.
If you're making something out of him not wanting to be the initiator on all this conversation stuff, if you make more of that, he's too good for me or something like that, that's how you come away with it. I'm more like, he's not comfortable coming up and just talking to random people. Mm-hmm. That's what I take away.
Yeah, he's just not socially. It's not him. It's not his comfort zone at all. No,
it's not his comfort zone. And I think when you hire a coach for a school like Minnesota, you need a Motzkow type guy. He needs to be really comfortable working a room and networking and getting donations and massaging all the donors and the alumni and all that stuff. That's a big part of the job at a place like Minnesota. That's not the kind of thing you have to do at CC or Anchorage. It's very different. And
literally the last year that has been impossible to do. I mean, with COVID, everything's locked down. It's just not going to happen.
And for the people who think that Patolny's going to be a great coach somewhere, that's part of his game. He needs to improve too. He needs to be better at working a room. Maybe it's improving at Northern Michigan. I have no idea, but he's got if there's an area for development for him before he would be a candidate, that's it. And on the flip side, you got to.
That's where Gensel was awesome. He literally was.
Gensel was pretty good with like a hockey crowd. Yeah, a bunch of hockey guys. He's pretty good at shooting the breeze with that kind of group. He's a little intense. You've got other people like Hastings and Scott Bell who can walk the line of being loose and straight at the same time.
I was a big fan of Hastings when he was here.
He's good.
Talk about loose. Definitely a hockey guy. Yeah, John, it is a bent paddle, isn't it? What are you drinking?
Yep, bent paddle. It's pretty good. I think it's a fine beer. I don't think it's a great beer. It's got a lot of sweetness to it.
There is no great beer.
Oh, there are great beers. there are beers that are just like, oh man, I wish I could drink that every night. Like there's certain years of darkness that are just like, man, I wish I had a keg of this down here. I just have. And then some of the like Arctic Panzerwolf. I know Ruba's a big fan of that one. It's a double IPA. It's just like I could drink that all the time. Two Hearted, love Two Hearted. This one, it's good. It's sweet. It's got a little bit of like an unfinished mouthfeel to it or something.
Yeah, Grant's
it's good.
Grant Patolny, boy. It will be tough. He needs to win and whatnot. I don't know. He might have had a great personality when he was a player, but I just didn't see it as a coach. I don't know.
And maybe it's just like he bristles with the media and stuff. But at the same time, when I played in the golf tournament a couple times too for the U, and I just didn't see him going out to bigger groups. He'd go back to his buddies. You know what I mean? And when you're a coach, a leader, the networker, the ideal person for that job is comfortable going to any table and being friendly with everybody and making them feel like, hey, I actually enjoy having to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not forced. It's not like a job responsibility. You want people in that role that can just sit down and be like, hey, how's your round today? What's going on? Did you guys have fun? Anybody make any birdies? Eagles? No? Anybody lose their golf clubs today? Anybody put a golf cart in the pond? I've heard that's happened out here. You need people in that role sometimes, and you can't just go to your buddies and the people you're comfortable with to be that person. And it's not for everyone. It's a complicated job.
No, it's not. And obviously we know that is where Lucia leaned on the Wooger to do that kind of role. And obviously he couldn't do it the last couple of years because of his health, but and it's obvious that Lucia wanted the Wooger to be that person.
There's a symbiotic.
Very much so. Very much so. Because he's like, Wooger, you handle all this, because he's just like, Wooger will start up a conversation with anybody. I mean, he could go to Grand Forks and he played, didn't he? He played hockey, like table hockey in the center ice. Yeah. The bubble hockey. Yeah. And he didn't care. He had a blast. I mean, other schools all love the Wooger. And then you've got, schools like St. Cloud, where they throw batteries at Lucia's wife. Yeah, so I'm not big on Patolny either, but I think, if Motzko keeps doing what he's doing, I don't think we have to worry about it. He's going to be here another 10 years at least.
No, it's pretty funny. When I was talking to Bob in the elevator last year at one point, he kind of was just like, what's going on? And I was like, oh yeah, PJ just got his new extension. When's your coming? It's like, old Bob needs to get a few more wins under his belt before that even becomes a discussion. It's like, he knows that the seat at Minnesota is always hot. Much like Richard Pitino's seat is very hot.
I had
I think
someone going
he's-
after me today. I'm like, come on, I'm just having fun here. It's
Yeah,
fire.
he's
I always do
dead
that.
man walking. He's dead man walking.
Oh yeah.
He's done. He's due a $400,000 bonus on April 30th.
That ain't gonna happen.
The U has to give him 30 days notice before they buy him out. The buyout right now is $1.75 million. After April 30th, the buyout goes down to $1.5 million. There is no need to wait until after April 30th to make that decision. If you want to make the decision, now's the time. $1.75 million is not that much money in a $140 million budget, even during a pandemic.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, who do they hire?
Ooh.
Because I know some of the names that they are being bandied about on message boards like Gopher Illustrated and Gopher Hole and things like that. Some of those guys have big buyouts, like $7-8 million. I don't think that's tolerable for Mark Coyle. I don't think he can, because there's no donor that's going to go, okay, fire this guy for $2 million, hire this guy for $3 million a year, and send him $8 million in a buyout that doesn't even go to us. I'm sure going to sign off on that. That happens at like Florida and Texas and even Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not going to happen at Minnesota. There's not somebody who's like just going to write a blank check to get this done.
How long can they keep the barn?
I mean, there is a plan out there to renovate the concourse and like the seating and all that stuff and maintain the historic kind of look to it, but make it nicer. But the structure of the building is a problem because it needs those pillars that obstruct seating and things. So that's the concern, is like, do you invest all this money knowing you're going to have all this obstructed seating just because it's cool and old?
You know, I was given tickets last season, whatever, 2019 or whatever it was. And they were really good seats. It was like right in the M, you know, just 10 rows up or whatever. I could not believe how different those seats were than the seats at the Mariucci. They are a good 2 or 3 inches skinnier. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I thought they'd be, because they all look like the same. They're all the same color. I thought they'd be like the same width and size. No, those seats are quite a bit smaller, and they really try to cram you in there. And it may be a time where they eventually just have to say, we're going to have to retire this facility, Viggs. I mean, you can't keep it forever, can you?
No, I don't think you can. Well, I mean,
I
can, but
the thing is, it's like an old car. You'll just have to keep throwing money into it.
Right. They would have to keep throwing money into it. And I don't know if that's something that they're
but the thing is, obviously a new building would be very expensive. And
right.
Is it something you'd have to, well, okay, do you tear down that building? Can you even tear down the building? Or is it too much of a historical building to tear down?
Maybe they would do maybe they do a conversion like they do with the PAV, in order to avoid that historic building type situation. Like maybe they turn that into the wrestling facility or something like that.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
Or the volleyball facility, because obviously volleyball's doing really well.
They've made upgrades to that PAV. They built like a suite. They built like a suite level there now, and they were really hoping to take advantage of it this year because they have a really good volleyball team that's probably going to the Final Four. And Hugh McCutcheon is awesome at what he does, and they're really good. And they've got like a nice suite area now where they can serve drinks. It's awesome. I know somebody had just asked me a question about the Gopher assistants. I think he was talking about hockey.
Yeah.
But I know that the basketball assistants, they're at the end of their deal. So there's no buyout for them.
I think the barn might be a problem, Steve. He says, is the barn a problem? The rest of the facilities? I mean, They do have a great practice facility, which you actually mentioned on Twitter because I don't.
It's like they just spent $140 million on this thing. It's really nice.
They did, but I'm not gonna just go. I wouldn't know right off the bat. So
yeah,
but the barn is old. The seats are cramped. It's
the concourse is awful.
Well,
like
yeah, the
getting
concourse,
your seats.
Yeah, that's tough as well. But you've also got the kids these days don't give a shit about a raised floor or about they want to play in nice places.
It is cool when the crowd's really loud there, though.
Yes, it is cool, but you got to have a team.
I agree.
And well, they don't have a team. Lost again tonight. 10 straight losses on the road. Are you kidding me? There's no crowd at these places.
Second time they've gone a season without winning on the road, by the way.
And then what was it? I was listening. Maybe it was KFan or somebody. Somebody had done the calculation, but it was this year that the Timberwolves are now finally the official worst pro franchise of all time in win percentage. They were saying that Tampa Bay ended up getting out of last place because obviously they won a Super Bowl, but over the years, Tampa Bay has traditionally been awful. But somebody put it out somewhere that now the Timberwolves are the worst professional franchise in pro sports. Yeah. But I think Williams is going to become more of a problem, Viggs. It's yeah, sure. You keep throwing money at it if you want, but people talk about Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin built the Kohl Center. It's going to last them quite a while. Wisconsin's gone to a lot more tournaments than Minnesota in basketball. And obviously their football program is off the charts. But they spent money on facilities. They're still spending money on their football stadium, Viggs. They keep they keep updating it. I don't know. Yes, worse than the Clippers forever. Because the Clippers have been good these last few years, so they've gotten out of the basement. Yeah, and I'm with you there, Steve. How do you justify that many road losses with no crowd? It's unbelievable, and there's a reason why they shouldn't even let them come home on the plane. Just leave them there. Who cares?
So, Hapke, by the way, hat tip to you. You've reminded me I need to get an updated copy of the assistant coach contracts because they're expired from the ones that I saw. So I have to request new ones. I've been a little off my game on some of my public data requests lately. So
I'll get up on the Kohl Center's the Kohl Center's not new, but it was built brand new. And how old
modern.
It's exactly. It's modern. I wouldn't say get rid of Mariucci. I mean, they've got to they've made updates, things like that. But the barn is like 100 years old now or something like that. I don't know if it's that old, but it's time. Old. They got to start. If they need to at least start talking about it a little more and just start coming up with a plan.
They have a plan, Connor. They have two plans. They have a plan to demolish it and do a new one or renovate it. They need money. I've tweeted about this a lot over the last 2 years. The U of M as a whole is very focused on their Driven campaign, which is a campaign to raise $4 billion for the university. They're already over $3 billion on this campaign. So they've locked up $3 billion in funding from people. They have another $500 million to go in this project. And the idea of the plan was basically to solidify the endowment, the facilities, all the things that you need to run a successful university that sees declining public funding coming from the legislature and make the U able to compete with Michigan and Wisconsin and other public research universities like Texas. And they're almost there. Once that's done, I think the reins get taken off on Mark Coyle and his fundraising staff, and they're able to start tackling the next projects. Because right now they're still paying for TCF Bank Stadium. They're still paying for the Athletes Village. They're still paying for the damn aquatic center. They're paying for the track and field facility that they had to do to stay Title IX compliant. They're going to have to take out a $40 million loan to get through the pandemic and balance their budget. They've got like $160 million in debt right now that they have to erase. That's priority number one.
Yeah.
Priority number two, shrink the rink, figure out what they're going to do with Williams Arena, and probably figure out what to do with like infrastructure and parking for all the athletic facilities.
1928 on Williams Arena. That's what Steve's saying. So almost 100 years old.
It looks like it. It's got more gray hair than you, Jupe.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I think I got it beat.
It's distinguished. It's good flow though. Got hair. That's good. It's more than Bob
yeah.
can say.
I don't grow up further. Well, it gets long enough, but I don't go long. Just my hair is just too wild.
It's getting a little longer back here.
Yeah. Most facilities are paid over 30 years anyway. Yes, they are, but yeah, but it's time for Williams. Great place. That's great, but it's time for something new. And it might be even something like we're like, hey, let's just tear it down, and put something new up. You know, they could play a year at Target Center or wherever. And, you know, even volleyball could play at Mariucci for a year if they had to.
In a pandemic, they could have played at the PAV. I've seen a lot of high school games there. They could have figured it out.
It is an awfully large building. It is a big building.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's got two halves. It's not a small building. I'm guessing even getting rid of it would be quite the project.
Yeah.
It's not something you just implode and clean up and you're done. No, it's
there are lots of projects at the U that are spec'd out just so they have an idea of what it's going to involve and cost, but are not released. As much as my Freedom of Information Act requests have been successful on some things, others remain hidden from me. But I know they exist. I've heard about them. They're out there.
For us, let's just get the rink done. Shrink the rink.
Get a donor. Get a donor and it's done. That's how wrestling, volleyball, all that stuff has been done. They get a donor. The baseball program, these small, under $10 million projects, you just get a couple donors who are willing to pay for it, and that stuff happens within a year.
Johnson, sell authentic jerseys and apparel in all sizes, including kids. Budget solved. Ha ha. Could be. Oh boy. What can you do?
Or I've done both. I've done the Minnesota data praxis and the FOIA request for things. They've got a data request center that I like to use.
They basically hate Vigo over there for all the data he's requested over the years, especially when it comes to scan ticket data.
I want to do one on scholarship percentage at some point. Like, I don't want to know who gets what, but I'd love to do a college hockey wide survey of scholarship distribution. And I just want de-identified players, class, and amount of money that they get. Because I think it would be eye-opening for a lot of people.
And maybe you could have just asked the players. Don't ask what they get. Just say, hey, do an anonymous thing with the players.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people would come back with that one.
Oh boy, Deutsch would kill you.
He wouldn't even be involved. He wouldn't be involved. It'd be Coyle would be like, hey, come on now. Let's go to Canes and settle this over a
oh no, Kyle would go to Deutsch first, and then you'd have really grumpy Deutsch.
No, if anything, Rovnak would come down on me.
That's a good possibility. And you can't read him at all either.
He gives us a little bit of slack because we're hockey guys. So
that is
hard.
true.
He's hard on some of the football kids.
Oh, I bet. I'm guessing
over there.
And maybe it's because, we've known him since day one, since he was there. We had the pizza over there at Jim's Pizza Place, Campus Pizza. And he was invited over there, and we all kind of met him that day. Were you on that? Did you
for Deutsch's first day?
Was it Deutsch? I thought it was Rovnak we did.
Deutsch's first day was over at Campus Pizza. I know that.
I thought we did that for Rovnak too.
I don't know if we did. I wasn't there for Rovnak for his first day, but I know Deutsch did a first day luncheon over at Campus Pizza, and I was like, I'm happy to be there. I work right across the street.
And then we did Blue Door for the girl at the Star Tribune. Was it 2 seasons ago? She just got promoted to baseball.
Megan,
yes. Gosh,
yeah.
I'm doing
so we did Blue Door and we welcomed Meg to the beat.
Yeah.
She covered like 5 games.
She just keeps moving up. Yeah. Well, she was back for one of the post games, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Meg's great. Keep your eyes out for a story that she's going to have a byline on sometime, I think this month.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be interesting.
Oh, are you stirring the pot there, Viggs?
Star Tribune taking shots at the U. I think it's going to happen. We'll see.
Oh boy.
We sure like to talk about diversity at the U sometimes, but there's diversity problems at the Star Tribune too.
Yeah, and she was talking about it.
Yeah,
I saw her tweeting about it.
She counts as an Asian American and a woman on the sports staff. She's a double counter.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I don't want to press Randy too hard on what's going on over there. He's just doing what he can to keep things going. They're going to be looking for a new Gopher person here pretty soon.
So she's going to baseball. She's still going to do like Gopher football, or because that was kind of her deal.
That was kind of her. Gopher athletics was her thing.
Yeah.
Like she didn't really do basketball, but she had football.
Baseball's
hockey.
A big beat.
Baseball's a big beat.
When you've got what's his face moving over,
Lavelli
Neal, yes, he moved.
Lavelli Neal, columnist.
He moved over to columnist now. So, like they said, did they send Megan to Florida? Is she going to be down there the whole spring training?
I don't see why she wouldn't go. I'm sure she's happy to go. Got to be there. Spring training is where you make connections with people. So Dan Hayes says.
Yeah, let's get Royce on the Gopher hockey beat. There we go. Royce on the. Oh boy, he was on that Gopher podcast the other day or something like that, just saying he was just never a hockey guy. He likes the hockey personalities, but he said I can't even watch a hockey game. Maybe when it's the playoffs, but I'm like, he's just a basketball guy. That's just what he is.
Well, Fulda doesn't have a lot of hockey background. I think Russo was saying when he went to the first weekend and he sat in the stands with Patrick just wanted to talk all game. It's like, there's a hockey game going on. No, Patrick just wants to talk. Like, I'm just here to write my little clipper here. Scoggins is great. I like Chip. I think Chip's a good guy. He's passionate. He's in the right spot. He's a big football guy, growing up from Tennessee, growing up with that volunteer pride. He gets college game, college athletics. I think Randy's fine.
Randy. The only thing, well, it's been a while, but the Pioneer Press used to have Bruce Brothers doing the Gopher hockey beat for years.
Long time ago, yeah.
A long time, but he was like, when I was there, he was there every weekend when I first started covering back in 2006 for at least 5-6 years, something like that. And then once Bruce Brothers left, they had a few people over there once in a while, but they're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Pretty much done.
Maybe Drew Cove is going to be the Star Trib guy. He's doing some editing for them. Maybe he's angling in for that.
Hey, Drew, are you still in the chat there, Drew?
Yeah. He's probably editing. He's editing the Hockey Hub or the Basketball Hub right now or something.
Unfortunately, newspapers are still dying a slow death, Viggs. They just are.
It's just got to be nimble. You got to be nimble to change. I think the Strib is actually doing okay compared to some of their peers. So
No, I'm sure they are, but it's obviously, well, the newspapers, quite frankly, should have jumped into digital a little sooner. When you lose all your advertising dollars and you lose your, I mean,
they should have dipped into what the Athletic's doing sooner, because now people think they don't have to pay for anything. I don't get how many people, like, if I post something for the Athletic, I guarantee you I'm going to get one comment in there like, why should I pay for this? Guaranteed every time.
Yeah, you will. But the newspapers really, they lost their money when they lost, classified ads. Once that classified ads, and they didn't jump on that one. And you got somebody like it's a Craigslist right now, basically doing all of the classified ads that they used to make a killing off of. That's where they were making a ton of money. They're like, eBay, Craigslist, we won't worry about it. And then all of a sudden, because that money is really what drove that, and their advertising dollars is what kept newspapers and everyone going over there. You lose that, classified ads was just a huge moneymaker for the newspaper business. So, yeah, people don't want to pay for it. It's just kind of how it is.
Yep. I subscribe to the Athletic, the Star Tribune, and Gopher Illustrated. And now I'm going to pay for this Chris Peters thing on Hockey Sense, just because I want to see Chris Peters just keep writing, because he got let go by ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So he started this new Substack thing. And I like his jib.
15:38 remaining. Still down 2-1. At least on my stream, which is all behind, people watching on normal TV.
I'm at 15 minutes. That's my stream.
Fox Sports Go is not really on time then.
There you go. It's just like Go for Hockey then on the streams. Other ones basically way faster.
Yeah, well, and then it's even more delayed for people watching because we're 20 seconds delayed here, which is still, I see it this way, and I see that we're 20 seconds behind, and multi-million billion-dollar companies can't figure that out. How is that possible?
Got me.
How is that possible?
Hang out to the end? Should we hang out to the end of the game?
We got 15 minutes left. I don't know.
That requires another beverage for me, I think.
I got some audio going now.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. It was, Steve. Huge income. Classified ads was gigantic. People will pay for great content. Yeah. So like when it comes to the Strib, I don't want to pay for the Strib. I'll just go in incognito mode. Call me bad. I don't care. That's fine. Let me see. Where's I can't change it. Let me see here. What is the delay right now? Let's find out. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18. About 18 seconds is our delay. That is outstanding. That's nothing. Absolutely. 2-on-1. Oh, they messed it up. What a shame.
This is going to be awkward.
No.
Jupe starts doing play-by-play.
No. Fuck it. Well, here we go. Here's, people want to hear LaPanta.
Here we go. Here's the next one.
Oh boy, here we go. He's hitting up the whiskey.
Little whiskey. This is a Old Forester single barrel strength.
Yeah.
Warehouse K, floor 3, 127.9 proof. Minnesota Whiskey Elite. Here's the sticker. It's called the Wet Bandit.
Okay, that's a scary looking.
It's got a wet finish.
Those dudes are weird looking.
Well, remember Home Alone?
Yeah.
The Wet Bandits? It's a joke on that.
No, I'm not familiar with the joke, though. No. Nobody here wants to hear LaPanta. Yeah, we don't want to hear LaPanta. I'll turn off the volume so you don't have to hear LaPanta. Might be some kind of legal issues with that anyway. God forbid.
Let's not get in trouble here. We're already talking about how we're watching the game for some of us. Old Forester store picks are awesome.
Let me see. Cool. I wonder if I have a picture of that. So I bought myself, I've got this kind of large kitchen where I don't know, I just have too much wall space. So I'm still trying to fill that wall space. So I bought myself, let's see if I can find the photo here. I bought myself kind of like almost like a buffet table / wine rack to hold all that wine. Let me see if I can find a picture of it here.
By the way, Drew's back in the chat if anyone wants to voice their Pioneer Press concerns.
Oh, I thought I had that photo here. We should just have Drew come on the show here.
You can talk about the newspaper biz as he navigates it. I'm sure there's some pretty good competition for a Gophers beat right now over there. Nick Kelly eyeing it. I know they have some other young.
Let's see if Drew wants to join us.
Writers.
I just sent Drew the link. Let's see if Drew's.
Oh boy. He might be busy. He might be working.
He could be. Let's bug him then. Even better.
And for our whiskey fans, I've gotten to the point now with some of my whiskey drinking where I really need the barrel strength to get the flavor. And these Old Forester barrel strengths are awesome. Okay.
Don't freeze on me.
Okay, Hapke. Careful. So this is work in progress over here.
It took me forever to get mine up and running. Because I obviously had, my dog was joining me most of the time. And then I really filled it out once the dog was no longer with me.
The shell, the football helmet is good.
Well, what? You were cutting out there, Viggs. You're completely frozen, Viggs. Did we lose Viggs? Are you there, Viggs? Maybe my internet's gone to crap. Oh, well, there's Drew. So something must be working here. I think Viggs is frozen.
Viggs just can't out.
Is he frozen for you?
Let me see here.
He looks pretty frozen to me.
I don't see any video coming from Viggs here.
Oh boy, Viggs is frozen.
Too bad.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, Drew.
I just saw that you sent the link there while I just kind of hopped back into the chat.
Yeah, there goes the Viggs just dropped. Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. I'm just sitting here watching the game too. I only have a couple editing duties per week, and that's usually Tuesdays for me. So Wednesdays are free to watch late night hockey and watch.
How is the newspaper business then? How's it going? Is it still just a real big struggle?
Well, if you hear what everyone always told us through a few years of college, it's not good at all right now. So you kind of get not the scare tactics, but just a lot of people would end up saying, well, I don't know why you're getting into this industry. It's not doing too hot. So, but
and there's Viggs back. He went back to his computer this time, didn't he?
Yep, sure did.
Nah.
So this is what I bought myself, Viggs, to fill a wall.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I was like,
you might have seen. Yeah, I might post that on Facebook.
We need to improve some of the beverages in there, I think.
Well, yeah, I've since put well, the thing is, I put 8 bottles of wine in there, and I'm already drinking 4 of them. So
Got to get in the case club.
Surprised you didn't break out the wine this time today, Drew.
No.
I had some negative feedback on that, apparently.
I thought it was fun. It was fun to watch.
I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it.
My speech was slurring so much by the end of that show. It's like, oh man, if I'm gonna drink again for a podcast, I really need to. I don't know. Eat a meal before then. I mean, that's what I recommend. Eating a meal.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Wild on the power play, not doing anything. Or is that power play?
They didn't do anything.
Shocking. Shocking.
Just putting on those Eder big boy pants, aren't you, Drew? Just got to get used to it.
That's a lot of fun. I got to say, it's a cool. I mean, being able to stick with high school sports lately, it's been a lot of fun, even though it's been confusing in terms of all the cancellations and stuff like that. And
now, isn't that what Roman's doing? Isn't that kind of Roman's role became over there at the Strib, Roman Augustovitz?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen, at least in terms of any high school stuff that I've been looking at, it's been really just Jim and David kind of anchoring.
Well, I don't know if he was doing high school stuff, but I know he was doing some of that kind of work.
Yeah, I haven't seen his name around lately. I mean, ever since at least when I kind of got on to go for hockey and stuff like that, when I started at the Daily, I know that was kind of his initial foray out, or that was kind of one of his first years not there. But yeah, I haven't seen him mostly. Mostly it's just the sports engines, preps people, and then Jim and David that actually work for the Strib. So
gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So would you kill your phone there, Viggs? All of a sudden you froze up and then you were gone.
I don't know. It works well, I guess. I thought, the high quality video for our show, now this is back to the laptop camera.
Yeah, I have one of those older Thunderbolt monitors, and I was using that earlier in the season. Let me see if I can get it play this one.
Yours isn't that bad. I mean, the lighting's a little different, but
the temperature is different. It's not too bad. And of course I've got the 2 lights here, and then I've got a light back here. Kind of shining down on the wall, so it kind of lights up back there. But yeah, I got one of those Logitech.
The mic's almost a little bit off too, in terms of the audio sync. Once you switch the video.
Ooh, yeah, that is a little.
It's just a little,
maybe a little
like a half a frame off almost.
Could be. Yeah, I'll go back.
Barely noticeable.
But I just, I'm doing so many damn zooms and stuff. I'm like, God, this camera's terrible. This one's better. Yeah, this is a little more synced, I would say. Damn wild.
Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts on I know I heard some of the Parisi situation, but
does that qualify as a rant? Is it a Vigo rant? No. I hate teammates like that. Who are just like cliquey, isolated, selfish, never can do anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, like, because obviously Bill and Fenton as well, but they've all been, Garen's really just solidified in the whole, okay, all right, let's get all the old guys out and get the new blood in, and let's see if they can do anything a little better, because it obviously hadn't worked for 8+ years. But
right, it's obviously not working.
Yeah, and you'd think, like, if he had a different contract, do you think he would have been gone sooner? I would think so. His Stahl's no. He was able to get past Stahl's no move, or his limited no trade. Get rid of the guys that didn't really have a lot of restrictions on it. But if it wasn't a 13-year, $90-some million deal, I think that was so back heavy that teams, it's almost impossible for teams to come on. I don't know. You think he might have been gone sooner.
Yeah, my stream's so far behind. Apparently it's 3-1. It's not even close to 3-1 yet on my screen.
Yeah, it's 3-1. Yep. 8:46 left in my stream.
Oh, mine says 55, and he's right about the score right there. Was it Tuck again? Oh, no, it wasn't Tuck.
Stone, I think.
Yeah.
I first thought when you saw the beard real quick, I thought it was Tuck, but no. That would have been hilarious if it was Tuck again.
Those gold
Stone's quite the
jerseys
character.
look amazing for Vegas. I love them.
True. I don't know, man. Those are hard on the eyes.
Yeah. I
What's
think
with their center ice thing? Their center ice thing is way too dark and elaborate. It was throwing me off. Like this huge dark thing in the middle of the ice. Who's in goal for the Wild, anyways? That's not.
It's Talbot.
I
would definitely trade Parise for and a 1 for Johansson.
Use puck bag.
I mean, I think Johansson can play in a lineup. He's a big center, and he's quite a bit younger than Parise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Parise's becoming a liability in the locker room for these young guys. Like, I wonder what Kaprizov thinks of this guy. He's like, Kaprizov has no idea how good Parise was when he was driving a cup winner as a pest.
He's just a 36-year-old guy on a dwindling down deal to him.
Right. Exactly. Who's taking long shifts. He's like, on the beer league team, Kaprizov's like the new guy who's like, hey, old guy, shifts over, get off, change, get off the ice.
No, Kaprizov's the Russian with the mirrored visor.
Say, hey, over 40 league starts next hour.
Yeah.
And he killed us. He killed us, Drew. The guy with the visor, he killed us.
How about Kaprizov not kind of getting snubbed on the Rookie of the Month?
That's just writers looking at stats and going, who's leading the league in scoring as a rookie? Okay.
Yep.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
You can make a bigger deal at it, but
Kaprizov is kind of a snub, but I think Kakinen has really just exploded in terms of what value he brought to the team in the last few games, the winning streak. I mean, especially he won 5 straight of that 6-game streak.
I was always a supporter of the KK.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Wild just need to get more guys with the initials KK.
Two Ks.
Yeah, just 2. Got to make
just
sure.
2.
But
yeah, just 2 Ks. I hope we
just 2 Ks. I mean, there's 4 of them, but separate.
Yep.
Together, but separate.
Is Johansson on the Preds now?
Yep.
Okay.
He was in the trade for Seth Jones.
Yeah.
And it was like a 1-for-1 type deal. And Seth Jones has turned out to be pretty good, but Johansson's kind of slowed down a little bit, maybe, or
I don't know. I was just never big on the Parise Suter thing.
I understood it though. They had to do something. They were hurting the box office.
Yeah,
that was totally like this.
They were still selling out every game. They were still selling out every game.
They were, but they were dipping into their rush seats, resale market. It was declining. It's like
tickets.
The waiting list was gone. This was like Minnesota when they transitioned to the Big Ten, and all of a sudden you had a waiting list of 3,000 fans, and it went to nothing, and all of a sudden you were at a deficit. The Wild saw that coming. They're like, how do we stop that from happening?
Like, I mean, they had 3 years where they were without Gabrick, and that kind of did them in for a while. Or anybody close to the level of Gabrick. Obviously, they haven't had a Gabrick since 08, or 09, whatever. But those were some.
You were like 5 years old.
Eric Belanger was a number 1 center, and
Guillaume Latendresse.
Now you're talking. There you go.
Benoit.
Came in, scored 22 goals in like 25 games.
Yep.
That was the best back half stretch ever. And if he would have stayed healthy and better conditioning in the off season, I mean, he's only like 34 right now. He could still be like, and use a power forward. I mean, that comeback against the Blackhawks, the 6-5 overtime win with Owen Nolan, he scored the tying goal in that one.
Steve is correct actually there. Most of the waiting list for Gopher hockey was gone before Big Ten.
Right. But that's what we saw.
The waiting list. The waiting used to be thousands of people back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, like 7,000 or 8,000.
First 2 years of the Big Ten, attendance was still pretty good, but they were at that cliff already when they made that move. So they used up all their goodwill,
and then they had some bad teams.
And it's some bad teams. So try to avoid having terrible teams in a market like this because people they have options. They'll do other things.
But then they'll always come crawling back. That's the
No, they won't though. That's just what happened. That's what Vigo's been talking about.
Going to games, but they'll still pay attention. But.
Yeah, but Vigs, that's exactly what you've been talking about for years. Those fans are gone. They need to get new fans. That's been the thing you've been talking about for years.
Yep. Like I would tell Mark Coyle, it's like you are not selling to the people who went to the Final Five. You are selling to like my kids. Like my son, like he's 8. That is the perfect kid right now to get invested all in and go for hockey. It's like do all the things you can to cater to those kids, and maybe they'll bring their dads, and then they'll bring their teammates, and they will grow up with whatever's happening now. That will be their normal.
And when they can meet these kids from just the town over or their same town that say, wow, yeah, I came to these games when I was 8 and I always wanted to play for the team, and look at now I'm here. It's a perfect way to get young kids. I mean, and that's the impressionable kids that don't have any allegiances yet. It's like that's why I became a hockey fan, is because the Timberwolves and the Gophers hoops were always so bad.
But honestly, it's your age group that is not showing up now.
Yeah, Drew. Cancel culture.
Yeah, it's us borderline millennial Gen Zers. I mean,
it's the young crowd.
Pro teams. We go to the student nights. Those are good, cheap games. That's the only way I'd get to go to Wolves games. You know, it's go see the Bucks or the Celtics, and notice how I didn't say go see the Wolves, but
yeah. I had a friend who worked for the Wolves during one of their bad eras, and he's like,
"Whoa, bad era?
Anytime in the last 30 years, I guess."
It was the post KG era, like that first wave after everything cleared out. Then, and that was like, come see Yao Ming, come see Kobe,
LeBron,
come see those guys. It wasn't come see the Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
It was come see the other stars of the NBA and see how great the NBA is. It wasn't selling the Timberwolves.
I've commented on a few times. Their ad campaign right now is brutal on FSN. That dominate didn't come to play. We came to dominate. I'm like, you don't know what dominate is.
The Twins in 2018, and this is how we baseball, and then it just didn't work. And then Logan Morrison and
get to know him
and out.
Get to know him, era.
Get to know him.
Twins, get to know him.
This is our ice. When that was the first time, that was the first year they missed the playoffs of the last 10 years or whatnot, and wasn't well received when they weren't good, obviously. But I don't know. Yeah, though, Wolves have got some work to do. Obviously, this isn't a basketball podcast, but
they've always, like I said, they've become the worst franchise in pro sports.
I like this N. Johnson guy in Twitter in our chat here.
Basketball, but
living in Grand Forks, my kids, 5, 7, 14 are the biggest Gopher hockey fans they'll meet. And it's awesome because Grandpa used to coach at UND, and they will not cheer for UND teams.
Wow.
So, that boy is raising his children right.
Sounds like a couple Danny Ermans right there. That's how he grew up. He grew up watching the Gophers because UND wasn't on.
Yeah, Gophers are on TV.
Yeah, Gophers are on TV. He was a Gopher fan.
Just like all the Braves fans in the all over the country because of TBS, right? Because
them and the Cubs.
Mike Rand was an adjunct professor for us in a sports reporting class, and he always talked about how in '91 he was more of a Braves fan because where he grew up and somewhere in, I think, northern Minnesota or it was North Dakota maybe, that they didn't get the Twins games, they got the Braves games. So he turned out a Braves fan, and then he's in the Twin Cities and they're facing off in the World Series, and whoops.
Well, I think WGN was always part of the draw for Cubs and White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
It was on every cable package. WGN and TBS was part of every cable package. It still is, but they don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I put on WGN. And TBS is obviously completely different now. They're kind of marketing with TNT and whatnot. So.
Yeah, they got all the basketball games and some of the wild card baseball games, but
I don't watch a lot of TBS anymore.
I gotta say, I don't watch a lot of TV at all. That's probably why our generation is not doing well.
My daughter, when she comes over, she goes, I don't watch commercials. I watch all stuff I stream everything. I don't watch TV programs.
I honestly watch YouTube for programming more than
she does watch
any cable service or Netflix. Because it's just, I don't know, something about, there's just a lot of creators that it's not professional at all. And they're learning how to edit while they're making these videos, but it's fun content. And I don't know. So I'd rather watch that than a sitcom 11 times out of 10. But
I don't know.
That's the only reason I watch traditional TV is for sports, Wild, Gophers, obviously now that Mariucci's tight, but
I watch a few TV series now, but even it seems like every time I try to watch something, it gets canceled or something like that. Highly recommend Resident Alien. If you guys haven't seen Resident Alien on Sci-Fi, it's really good.
I kind of want to watch the Rocks thing. Have you guys heard about this?
I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
The Young Rock?
The Rock origin stories.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch that, but I'm just not invested enough yet to seek it out because I haven't watched the show on network television for. I watched The Good Wife with my wife.
Because you're a good husband.
I liked The Good Wife. It was good. I think that might have been the last show I really watched. I watched West Wing. I don't know.
Right. I literally, the only network TV I watch now is Resident Alien on Sci-Fi. And I think it's genius. It's because it's that Alan Tudyk, or I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah, he's good.
He is good. It's just a really good show. And since they're on Sci-Fi, they can swear and whatnot. And it's 4-1 now. Oh, yep. Oh boy. Oh, I see a 2-on-1. Is this when it's going to happen? Oh, that was not good. I hit live. I think my stream is much closer to live now. Yeah, so I watched that.
Look at those fans social distancing in Las Vegas.
At least they're wearing masks.
Wait,
he just took his mask off so he could whistle.
In between drinks. It's important.
I'm not sure.
Beverage that you had on there that you finished?
Yeah, it's just a
Liney's.
A
Liney's guy.
Yep. I got I think I got a 12-pack of this, and I don't drink these porters too often, so every once in a while.
Summit Oatmeal Stout, now in 12 packs.
Okay.
You guys and your beer.
I just don't drink beer that much overall, but I'm a Liney's guy. But
good boy.
It lasts a long. I'm not a big drinker, anyways.
Don't put you in a corner.
I don't drink a lot at all. So
don't put baby in a corner. Oh boy, yeah, this Wild team. Oh, now Parisi's gonna say, "See, I wasn't in lineout. Look what happened."
No, he probably doesn't care. He probably's like, I didn't even watch the game. That's kind of his attitude.
He's at the craps table right now, rolling dice. Yeah.
Oh, and there's the dagger. But
they pulled their goalie. What is 4-1? Why would
stand up to celebrate? Make sure you stand up, take your mask off, and then start screaming and shouting.
Get those particles in the air.
Yep.
Oh, so it's an empty.
The moment you're going to be spreading the most particles, remove the mask.
Yeah. I don't think the mask works that way.
No.
I remember I was watching someone where someone took off their mask, sneezed, then put their mask back on. And I was just like,
yeah. Oh. That's one thing. If I'm like, I don't know, like that, I can see why it definitely is a problem, but I can see why you wouldn't want to do it if you didn't have another mask.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
do you understand science?
Yeah,
It's like,
especially
that's why
when
we
you're,
have a
like,
liberal
around.
arts education sometimes with people, is that they take like chemistry, biology, physics, ethics, philosophy, and they like, it's not how that works.
Yeah.
Team vaccine though. Let's get them
Yep.
all in our arms by May. Or
My
June.
grandfather just got his he's 82 going on 83, just got his second dose last week.
Nice.
He didn't feel anything. He got all the horror stories from everybody saying, just getting walloped sick the next day. He said he hadn't felt better for the 3 days right after, so he got really lucky.
It's because he's a red meat eating, coffee drinking, booze hound. He lives it up. He lives it up. He can take a shot is nothing to him.
Yeah.
He's tough. He's built old school.
He's the first generation U of M student in our family, so he was the first one.
Yeah, my grandfather went to the U. He was on the gymnastics team in the 1920s at the U.
Wow.
23 or 24.
We talked about getting season tickets for the basketball, football, and hockey teams. $25 for all the teams for their season. In 1960, whatever, early 60s.
Oh
man, I think that's how my dad went to school. My dad, he's 81, and he got his second COVID vaccine 2 weeks ago, a week ago. My mom just got hers, first one 10 days ago. My in-laws got theirs today. So it's happening. But my dad grew up with that kind of era of $25 type season tickets. I don't see why it shouldn't be that way, other than the fact that I feel like today's student doesn't feel invested enough to attend if it's that cheap.
Yeah, I think especially to all of them, because I think you get because I know you can get them now. You get both nights of hockey for the $100 or whatever dollars a student, right?
Right.
Yeah, because I remember even when I was a freshman, it was you pay for either $100 for Friday or $100 for Saturday. And before I knew I was going to be working at the paper, I had bought.
I'm all in. Yeah,
I had bought Friday night tickets because I was all right, if I'm not going to be.
They used to have guest. They used to have guest tickets.
What's that?
They used to have guest tickets.
Yep.
I would before I was married, my future wife was a student at the U. I was not. She got a student ticket and had a guest ticket, and we had the little punch card, and we went to. I think we did half a season or something like that. It was the 75th year, so it was 25 years ago. This year, because I remember that every game a Gopher would wear the 75 jersey. So like Crowley would win at one game, or whoever would win another game for the 75th anniversary.
That'd have been cool to get 100 on the back of somebody this year.
Larson wants us to give us your picks for this weekend, Drew.
My picks. Well,
Gophers.
I was thinking about it when kind of Bob and players were talking today, but it's gonna be a much different look with all the players that are back, and obviously the teams are a lot, even with the players back, they're a lot different of a team than they were a few months ago. But I think, I don't know. It's hard for me to say between a split or a sweep.
Gophers are going to have COVID, and the games aren't going to happen this weekend.
Oh God!
And they're going to win they'll win on win percentage. Give them the title.
It's going to be because like Jeff Winslow's the one with COVID or something, or Brian Deutsch got COVID. So it's like, oh, sorry guys, Deutscher got COVID, tested positive Thursday morning. We're gonna have to cancel this one.
Hey, but to Deutsch's credit, it looks like he's done a great job of keeping his mask on at all times and making sure he has as little contact, because I know that's kind of he's been instructed obviously to kind of have as little contact with everybody as possible, but
he's not in tier 1 with that group.
Yeah. So
yeah, he doesn't see these guys at all, does he?
It's got to be hard.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, let's knock on wood, make sure they play the games this weekend. But I think it could be a sweep, but it depends on do they falter the same kind of ways they did against when they faced Wisconsin, another good team, and it can. I mean, when they were 10-0, I didn't think it could happen, but now that it happened against Wisconsin multiple times, I don't know. It's it could happen, but they're gonna get at least one win. But a sweep is a little hard for me to say right now.
See, here's part of the thing that I worry about is that they are very easily going to go from that sweeping to being swept. Like their style of game, there's not a lot of middle ground for them. Like if they start chasing the game and turning pucks over and making, like, we're in overtime. I'm going to say this now. Like this attitude from Sammy Walker just frustrates me. It's just like, I'm not going to say he's Zach Parise, but you get some of that same vibe from him. Like you ask him, when you're out there against Cole Caulfield, do you think differently? And he's like, no, I don't think differently. He's like, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to take my chances when the chances are there. And I'm just like, you can't be successful at this level and have that attitude. It's like, you got to take your shot when you know you have the advantage. You can't just recklessly gamble. So I know Big Hat Guy on Twitter, if he's still listening, he's just like, when are you going to go after Sammy? Like, I know you want to. It's like, that's as far as I'm going to go. Cause he's a good kid. He's a good player. He's probably not comfortably being the captain and having to talk all the time like this, but like, man, hockey is a percentage game. Like you just can't give games away because you'll never get the chance back. Like once you fall behind to a team that's just as good as you, it's not like they're just going to give you scoring chances the other way.
Now joining the show, Sammy Walker.
You send out the invite to him?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Now, don't keep this overtime up too long, Jude. This is only for our core people.
Oh,
but like that's part of the thing for this team is just like that vibe. Like you can't have that. It's not going to be successful. Like you can have that in summer league, you can have that in October, November, but Christ, we're in March. Like you can't think like that. Like that's not how you're going to be successful. It's like if you're a pass rusher and you're just going to be like, well, I'm going to go for the sack and they run a draw. Well, okay, you just gave up your 2 gaps that you can control, and it's a big play the other way. It's like you just can't have players think that way. And he doesn't, even when like you force feed him the question of like, I want you to answer this correctly, or at least think about it. He doesn't take it. He just is like, screw you. I'm going to Voracek you and, you're going to write whatever you want to write kind of thing. But it's like, man, get through to that, right? I'm on the island here.
No,
he's definitely well prepared for talking to the media. I think he knew when he was going to be captain, he was going to be the guy that's kind of the last player held accountable when things go right or wrong. And I think he definitely got the right, because they do a good job to train those guys in terms of what to say and what not to say and to not be too loose or whatnot. But I think you can tell kind of he takes that to heart, and he kind of gives those the answers that he might be thinking about the question in a certain way, but he's going to answer it in the way that kind of that doesn't necessarily skirt around it, but he's gonna answer it just give the hockey answers a lot of the time.
Drew, was Kyle Rao before you?
Yes.
Yeah. Kyle Rao was like that.
Kluser last year.
Yeah, Kyle Rao was like that. He was like the most boring media interview ever because he knew he's like, okay, this is what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
And like it just kind of bothered me because I was just like getting into like asking questions of everybody. And it's like he just gives you whatever. But then you'll talk to him like briefly, post scrum, and he gives like a really good answer. It's just like, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know you have that in you.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to like ask people like that a question that's not necessarily going to get a standard answer. Like, oh, what do you need to do against Michigan? You need to get like really specific or like more off the wall or just something. So he can't give you that standard get pucks deep, get pucks to the
See,
net answer.
This is why I was a big fan of Klus.
And Klus would give you some answers like that from time to time. But you can't just ask a standard question and expect to get something out of some of these people, because they are trained like not to give you anything. So you have to like call specific plays or moments or something and have like a specific question if you want something revealing. So they actually have to think about what they're going to say versus just like parroting.
And that's the kind of problem with Zoom too. It's just like when you could pull them aside after the scrum or before the scrum, and you could just talk to them one-on-one in the side hallway. Just like I did that when I did that with Sheehy a couple times, especially in his second year. It got so because you build up the rapport and you talk to him a lot and you know each other by name and not just more of a one-way thing. It turns into a lot more of that trust, I think, too. And I think when we don't see him in person, and not that it's a bad thing for them, but just like it's harder for them to just kind of build up that relationship when it's over, when it's like this. So.
But it's harder for them to trust it too.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, would you have gotten that LaFontaine moment after he swept Michigan without Zoom? Does he break down like that in a scrum?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that was just clear emotion out of him. Mm-hmm. And because it's the most watched post game video we've had.
He was kind of looking at the ice when he was doing it. He was right at the boards
because there was nobody there. It was just him.
When you're in
he was holding the phone, and and he knew there's people there, but there wasn't people there. Mm. So I'm like, maybe we won't get that kind of moment if it wasn't for Zoom. And it was on the road too, so there wouldn't have been a big scrum. There would have been Jess Myers there, and that was about it.
And Jess was there anyways.
Yeah, and
he did go.
And Jess probably isn't watching us, but like I don't think Jess would have got that reaction either.
Because I believe it was Randy that got him. Was it you, Viggs? I thought I was just watching it the other day. Randy was talking to him.
So again.
Yeah.
Take notes.
Can't thank you enough for the time. No, but seriously, would we have gotten that?
No, I don't think it would have been different. It would have been a different thing. Like maybe it would have been emotion, but not like that. And Laffer's a unique dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
he gives you a lot no matter what.
I wish he wasn't off limits, and I wish I had a source to write what I want to write with him, but it's not going to happen. He's kind of isolated here on out, I think, from media, so it's too bad, but it is what it is. He's a cool kid. He's been fun to cover.
Wait, has he even been on since that happened? I don't think he has he?
Nope.
And the thing is, people loved it. They love seeing that kind of emotion, that kind of passion.
Good for program building.
It is
that kind of connection. It's so hard this year too to have any of that. So
and I just think for guys to see that too, and to see a guy come into the program, it's got to really help the kind of ownership that some of the guys that come into the program feel. When you see a guy that hasn't been in the program, that didn't have any history here, he had a history even with another program, more than he had time here, and just to come in and show that his dedication to just jump in and be like, all right, I'll go for hockey all the time, and kind of take really without really any credibility behind it or just the kind of that history behind it. He just made it. He made the program himself, and I mean, I think other recruits notice that, and the younger guys on the team should, I think, really notice that attitude and kind of making it more than just this is a stepping stone to the next portion of my career. Or I'm here to get an education and prepare to play pro hockey or do whatever. But that Go for Hockey's a unique program.
You know, I look at the post-game videos I put together from what Deutsch has made available, and they're mostly, 100 to 130 views, somewhere around there. That one has 681 views.
Wow.
Should have more.
It should have more. And I tried to, publish it as much as I could and say it, but you don't want to keep going back to it either. But
well, I mean, it was an emotional moment for the kid too.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
Like, you don't know how much that affects him to know that people see that and feel it. But like, I think the thing with Laffer too is like, he is pretty clear that he was just not ready to be a college hockey player when he came to Michigan. Like he thought he was. He thought, I'm going to get to the NHL. This is how you do it. And he's just like, I learned a lot. This is not how you do it. And it takes a lot more. And he's like, now I'm ready. And you talk to him about everything. And he just has this mature perspective on how to be a college athlete, specifically a college hockey goaltender. It's a pretty unique spot. Like the only other jobs that are like that are probably like starting quarterback for a big time football team in terms of the responsibility and weight that are put on you. Like, I don't think any basketball player would feel that, even if they're a point guard or top scorer. Like there's always a lot of more help out there, like quarterback and goalie. Like, those are the spots. It's like a lot of pressure. Well, college baseball, there's 80 games and, you share it with 5 other guys if you're a starter. The game you're starting, obviously, but it's like once you finish your game, it's like you can't pitch the other, 4 games of the series that you're not going to see.
So my girlfriend just got off of work and I'm telling her, hey, we had a Drew to overtime. She goes, be nice to him.
Oh, boy.
Because she remembers.
She remembers my quarter zip again? My quarter zip?
Yeah, she saw him all the way zipped up. Like she goes, yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Quarter zip. That's what you do. PJ Fleck.
Oh boy! But she's like
the button-up shirts all the way with no tie.
I don't do that. If I have a button up, I don't do it. But I don't know, the quarter zips, they've got a little more stretch to them.
She just remembers, me, with giving you a hard time when you're doing your live.
Oh yeah.
Live videos.
It's totally different. Totally different.
That was so fun to do. I still miss those. We need
next season. Let's hope.
And it's not even Periscope. It's just live video on Twitter now. I believe. I think they've kind of gone away from Periscope. So I'll have to tell her I'm being nice.
Let's hope next season things get back to normal. We have fans. We have advertising. We have people paying for journalism. It'll be great, right? Right, Drew?
I'm in.
You're in? Okay.
I'm into it.
Maybe we'll become essential again, and I can get to a game because as of next Monday, it would have been an entire year since I've been at Mariucci.
Wow.
You just push that photographer angle, Connor. Get in there.
Yeah, but he just said, they're not letting anyone who's non-essential. We are non-essential, and it's a school-wide thing. He says, because I even said, how about just let me go to Wisconsin? I'm just going to sit in the stands and shoot from there, and I can be in the press box. No, it's kind of a whole wide thing. So
talking with Deutsch at that Penn State, the Penn State series is the only one I got to, and he said, we're going to be cutting back here soon, just because and Coyle was there and just saying, we've got it's working now, but we're gonna university wide was making some changes, and that was the start of even no family members for however many weeks they didn't have that, which was at least a few home series. So
yeah, I don't know.
Back and now they got a lot of people in there, but I don't know.
I don't know if you saw the availability today, but like Motzko was like, so we're having our senior night. And, the parents are going to be with the kids all weekend, but for the game, they're going to be on separate sides of the glass.
Nope.
Because that's what we're doing. I'm just like, yep, that's COVID in a nutshell. Crazy.
I'm still bitter about senior night from last year. So
yeah, I know. Senior night's a tough one. Well, Drew, thanks for coming on.
Well, yeah, thanks for the
special overtime guest. This might be a new thing now.
I'll come on. Yeah, when I'm watching, if you're bored for overtime,
if we see you chatting in the,
as long as I'm nice to you, my girlfriend's okay with it.
I don't think there's not been a time when you haven't been nice. So I mean,
well, when we're trying to get you off your game during a live broadcast,
yeah, that's different. That's because that's fun. Periscope.
See, Drew gets it. You're one of us.
I'm glad you get it.
One of us. That's how we do it here.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you guys have a good one.
Yeah, my beverage is empty, so
I need
probably
water.
go to bed.
I need some water. I got to post the podcast.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everything you do, Connor. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Should be fun.
It's gonna be fun, hey.
It's gonna be good hockey. It's not
good hockey.
It's not a trap fest. Good college hockey.
Yeah.
College hockey.
Gonna be deep on pucks in deep. Go hard in the boards.
Get pucks in deep.
Funnel it to the crease. That Strauss man's gonna give up a rebound. We're gonna put it by.
Just get pucks deep. That's all you gotta do. Just get the pucks deep.
Okay, Louie.
All right, you guys have a good one, huh?
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks to all of our listeners. You help make it fun.